All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 11
Woo.
of the Golden Dice podcast. This is yours truly, Jack, and with me, I have the replacement, Shane.
The replacement. Glad to be here, buddy.
As revealed later in the episode, you'll realize that he's now our merch guy. He'll be following me around in a van with all Golden Dice merch if you ever want to buy anything. So,
Yeah, I'm the groupie. I'll take it. I like the groupie, though. I mean, from going from, the most hated to the groupie, that's not bad. It's a good arc.
yeah, it's movement. I don't know if it's necessarily upward, but it's
It's lateral. Yeah, lateral movement.
lateral movement. Well, yeah, like if you were to follow a band, you'd be taking out like their guitars and drum kits and everything from the van. So like if you could just reach into my backpack and grab my deck box before like every match and take out my tokens for me and stuff like that, that'd be perfect.
Take out your mat and stuff. Yeah, that'd be great.
I just get tired of taking it out. And sometimes I bring two deck boxes because sometimes I'm not sure what I want to run. And then just if you could keep track of that so I never pull out the wrong one or stuff like that. So
yeah, for sure. I'm good with colors. So if the orange deck box is your Sabine, and then if the yellow deck box,
same deck boxes.
Oh man, so how am I going to separate your two Sabine decks?
Well, that's how I confuse it. If they were different colors, I wouldn't confuse. All right, so we got a good episode to record for you guys this week. We will kick it off and kind of go through the regional. I was at Connecticut this past weekend. Like I said, I was able to clear my plans. I wasn't expecting on going. I thought Rochester was going to be my only chance to go, but I was able to go to Connecticut, and it was about a 3.5 hour drive for me, which wasn't awful. But I almost liked the Rochester one a little bit more because I didn't have to drive around New York in New York traffic. And I'm pretty sure the bridge toll is like $15 there.
Ouch.
So super crazy. But it was cool. I got to go up. I got to meet the Hyperloops guys, and I got to meet a few other of our fans and stuff, people I've been talking to online and whatnot. And just getting to meet to them and put some faces to the names was really cool and really enjoyable. So overall, again, worth it simply because of the community. Not because of my final placing. So I didn't do too bad. It ended up being 8 rounds and there was 97 people there. So it was a pretty big one.
Yeah, that's huge.
One of the biggest ones. I think 97 might be tied for the biggest, actually. I think Illinois might have had like 98 or 96. I don't remember exactly. But either way, it's like either tied for or like one below the biggest. So I brought Sabine Ezra again. So like I said, it was what I was comfortable with. I only had a week turnaround after the Rochester. I was trying out Boba 7th, trying out a few other things, but not enough games with any of them to actually feel comfortable bringing into 7 to 8 rounds of Swiss. Going there, I wasn't sure exactly how many rounds it would be. And I finished 6-2 with it. So not awful. It just kind of sucks. One of the losses was a mirror match. And it was a mirror match that I was actually kind of in control of. I'll get to that when we get to that round. But starting off, I played in the first round Yoda Qui-Gon, and oh my gosh, I never wanted to flip the table so hard with Sabine. I could not roll damage for like the first 2 to 3 rounds. I maybe did 2 damage. And playing against Qui-Gon, if you're not doing damage, that turns every shield side into a damage side, and it also turns Yoda dice into 1 damage side and a focus. Basically, it was so painful. He was pinging me to death. I really don't know how I survived that game. And it ended up coming, it was the second to last round. And I had a few dice out there and I knew he was going to claim or he had mitigation. So at that point I just claimed, I set up Never Tell Me the Odds. And then I killed Yoda with 13 damage. He only had 1 damage on him and he had 3 shields. So he was pretty upset.
Wow.
And that's kind of the course of, I feel like my regionals is a lot of people just kind of get angry at me for the Never Tell Me the Odds. Like whenever I do that and tap running interference, they just kind of look at me and they look through their cards, think what they can do, and then ultimately they just let out a big sigh of frustration.
It's rough, man. That's why when that deck first hit the scene, I remember a few people in the meta were playing it like crazy. So I just started running Honor Guard in every deck. I'd add a red character to a deck just so I could put Honor Guard in there to be able to remove a die with that action, because it's not really, you can't really get around that with running interference. But I mean, it's brutal. No one has answer to that right now other than ripping that out of their hand before they can do it. But I get why people are upset with it. But kill Sabine if you can.
Yeah, it sucks. And even Honor Guard is like, if I'm flipping Sabine to double 3s, hold out to a +2, Hidden Blaster with +2, and deal to a 3, it's like, oh, you remove 3 damage, here's 10.
Exactly. It's and sometimes that's enough to live for a second, or it's tough. But it normally still just ends in death.
Yeah. And I mean, it sounds like a jerk thing to say, but going to a regional, my opponent's enjoyment of the match is probably not super high on my priority list. Obviously I want to show courtesy and I want them to walk away not thinking I'm a total jerk, but as how my deck operates, I really don't care if you enjoy it all that much.
No, yeah, I mean, you're totally right. It sounds funny. It's like, but you can't be, you can't be, hoping to, bring them a positive play or a great play experience or whatever. And you want to be a gentleman, but like you're not running an illegal deck. You're not being a jerk about it. Like you're a gentleman when you play. You're not just trying to cheat wins or anything like that. But it's just you're playing a really good deck, and it's a deck that people can't really answer that much to. So, I mean, I think you're doing fine. Nothing wrong there.
And I want to actually address this, and I didn't even write it down or anything, simply because it kind of happened today.
Script.
What?
We're going off script here.
Off script. Yeah, we're getting funky here. So apparently, I don't know what the ruling in Las Vegas was or whatever, but Tiny Grimes, and of course this isn't to bash him. It's totally just him getting a rule mixed up. But I just wanted to clarify in case anybody listening to this had just listened to him and hadn't heard it otherwise. But he confused the coercion rule with running interference. So he thought that if you were, so say I rolled out Sabine with my ambush action. Well, I tapped running interference for activating your character, and then I played with my ambush action, never tell me the odds, and tapped run interference. And it went to you. You couldn't play a card, and you could not activate. And he said that if you passed, next turn comes back to me. I resolve all my dice. It goes back to you. He said that you still could not play a card or activate a character because you chose to pass instead of discarding a reroll. Right. And that's just not true. After you pass that time, when it comes back to you, you can take whatever action it is. So it doesn't lock you out until you take an action. It just locks you out of your next turn.
And that's exactly, that wording is the important part. So running interference can't take the same action that you just took on their next turn. So it just relates to one turn as compared to coercion, which is their next action, whenever that action may be. So that's the difference, and that is a very important thing because running interference is good enough already.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You add that to it. That's just completely broken. I mean, at this point, everybody knows to discard to reroll because you don't want to pass and then have them pass.
Yeah. And that's why that errata came out, or not the rules reference guide came out, where you can pitch to reroll 0 now. So
yeah. And that was due to really like the Sabine lock. And that was when people would play Thermal Paint, right? Then they would activate her, play a card, and then, you would take the 2 damage from the 2 Thermal Paints they would have on it. And then, that was that. You passed because you couldn't do anything. They passed, new round, and they would just ping you to death till you died.
Yep, not fun.
Yeah.
Not fun.
And again, that's not me trying to call out Tiny. It just happened to be on his podcast for anybody listening. I enjoy Tiny's videos. He gave me a great recommendation for some Switch games, so I've been enjoying them. And just shout out to him. No disrespect. But yeah, that just popped in my mind. I wanted to make sure anybody knew in case that tries to happen at a tournament. Because while they were talking about it, they were talking about his playtest partner who actually did that at a regional. So I'd be extremely upset if a judge were to rule that in that favor. Because he called the judge over, they said in the video, which, it sucks for that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a confusing game. Mistakes are going to happen. You're going to get confused. But ultimately, that's one you don't want to see happening because that is already one of the most powerful cards right now. So doesn't need a buff.
Yep, absolutely. So that was round 1. Yoda Qui-Gon, I barely get by. I was not the game I wanted to start off with, but kind of hoping that I got my bad rolls out of the way. So starting off 1-0. Second round, I play Elite Palpatine from Spirit Rebellion. And first round, I did a few damage. He rolled out like 2 2s. I easy pickings them. So he really didn't do anything. Second round, I already had Never Tell Me the Odds play and did 10 and killed his Palpatine. So that was that.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, there was really no way. It's just such a bad matchup for Palpatine. I mean, Sabine preys on sometimes there's one character, the big little lists, as people have been referring to them lately, and he's just a big list. So, and especially he's trying to get Rise Again off because 15 health isn't a lot, but if you get 2 of them off, you're at 25 health suddenly. That's a little bit better, more respectable. But with Sabine's, 3-for-1 disrupt, or Ezra's constant resource stealing, he was just never going to get that off regardless. So I was able to steal his resources, ran pretty hard, and blow him out turn 2. It was cool talking to him after because we had plenty of time. He was a local. He said he was drafting every week at that store and stuff like that. So
wow. every week, huh?
Yeah, he's really enjoying the game. He said he got into it about 2 months ago or so.
Awesome.
But yeah, so second round, that's just kind of how it was going to go. Moving on to third, I played the mirror match of Sabine Ezra, and this is where this is probably the most frustrating point of the day, because sometimes with almost this mirror matchup, it's super weird. It can literally come down to rolls at times. And it was pretty back and forth. We were both playing it pretty similarly. We both had the same exact board state. Neither of us played Maz's Vault. Neither of us had a running interference out. So it was really just we were relying on what we rolled. And we both procced second chances last time. We both had a gun on us on our Sabines. So we go into the next round. I made sure that I claimed, because having priority above the other Sabine, I think, is one of the biggest advantages you can have in that mirror match. And I roll out. I attach a gun from the graveyard. So I'm rolling out 4 dice. It was like an X8, a holdout, and 2 Sabines, obviously. And I rolled like a resource, shield, 1 ranged. And he was sitting on 6 damage. So that is obviously not enough to kill him. So I didn't know what to do, really. And I was just like, all right, I guess I'll pitch to reroll and try and get lethal. I don't know. The shield wouldn't have saved me, really, if he rolled that well. And of course he did. He rolled out, got 8 damage, and killed my Sabine. I was like, well, that's just the name of the game sometimes.
Yeah, it's just how it works sometimes. That sucks though, because it seemed like a weird Sabine Ezra mirror match when you guys both don't have like key cards, like Maz's Vault and then Interference. But I mean, yeah, it just happens. Sometimes Sabine rolls out and does crazy damage, and sometimes she doesn't. And that's kind of the same problem with like Big Vader. Anyone with that 2-3 like black side, and that's what people faced back in the day with Big Vader. Sometimes you just don't roll the 2s and the 3s. And you're kind of sitting there, not really finishing anyone off, not really doing much. You're just kind of waiting to pitch a reroll, and he rolled well at that moment. That's what he needed.
Yeah, it's just a way. I mean, and it's Sabine is like, I think, has a lot more tricks than Vader, despite having the same damage sides. Like, she's got the impersonate, she's got second chances and stuff like that to stick around. But at that point, already going through a second chance, and he used 2 second chances. So I had done not 21 fully. I guess it would be 16 damage, I guess. I don't know. Whatever it was, I did that much, and I only saw 1 of my second chances. So it was just not the ideal situation. Close game, full credit to him for winning. But it just kind of sucked to lose that way, to put myself in the winning position. But the dice just kind of let me down in that instance. But it is what it is. Moving on to round 3, I play Hero Vehicles, and I sit down, and it is actually in round 3, the Sabine player, his name was Jackson. I sat down across from his girlfriend, and I was like, come on, your boyfriend just beat me. Now are you going to beat me? This is going to be bad. But luckily, vehicles take a little bit to get going, and I'm usually able to pick off their characters relatively quick and shut them down. Once Rose is off the board, their resource generation kind of stops, and they're not able to take the damage off the Hawk, and that kind of puts them in that awkward position. So I was able to wrap that one up relatively decently. So go to 3-1. Next round, I play Boba Seven Sister, and this one was insane. He put like 9 or 10 damage on Sabine first round.
Wow.
And I was still able to live, and I don't know how. It really came down to impersonate, moving 6 of it over, and then playing a second chance and just kind of biding my time until I set up the actions. And he killed himself, so he actually passed for the running interference. So he actually had that error, so he passed.
Ouch.
I already resolved some of my damage, so I was like, all right, I'll pass to the next round. And he had like a Boba special and some damage on the table, so that was just an error on his part. I guess he might have had good cards in his hand or whatnot. But that just set me up next term, and never tell him the odds, killed his characters, and was able to crawl back from that destructive first turn. And this was one of the games where I felt bad again, of course, because he, obviously doing 9 damage, he felt pretty good. And to lose that game, I could see the visual frustration on his face. But, super nice guy still.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, you can't pass there because you just, you already resolved what you wanted to resolve, or at least a majority of it. If he's sitting on damage and he's, it looks like he did a lot already. He didn't have to do a ton more. So every damage counts at that point. But that's rough.
Yeah, you feel bad, but I mean, we're at a regional, I'm not going to say like, you don't have to pass. You can just discard a reroll. It's probably the better option.
Oh yeah. Now you can tell me that like when you're beating me, but definitely not a regional. That's something that you don't have to say. You don't have to be that much of a gentleman.
Yeah, you're entitled to, I think, keep that stuff. If your opponent doesn't know, they don't know. That's not your
absolutely
obligation. Of course, you don't want to like be cheating behind it, but stuff like that's not on you. So yeah, so 4-1 at this point, and I move on and I face the deck that I did not want to see at all, OTK. But this game was super close, and full credit to him. He ended up finishing in the top 4, so it was a good player who was piloting it well. So it wasn't something that I felt super terrible about losing at the end of the day. And it came down to 1 health. Ezra almost closed the game out for me, which is crazy to think.
Wow.
Yeah. He had 1 health left on the Seven Sister. You know, he didn't have any Force Illusions. He didn't have an Ancient on there. He just had balls and a Seeker Droid. And if Ezra could have got 1 more damage out, it would have been, oh man, I don't know what I would have done. I just don't know.
Oh, maybe we would have changed the name of the podcast to like Ezra's Golden Dice or something.
Yeah, really. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so super close. Came down to it. You know, normal stuff as you'd expect. I was able to kill the Night Sister after he pinged it a few times, and then I was able to roll out and blow Sienna off the board. Like, he actually didn't get a lot of resets this game. And I think that's why it was so close. And I'm actually disappointed in losing because of how many resets I was able to take away. Actually, remembering it now, I think he might have priced a failure the Night Sister to get 1 reset that way. But I was able to kill Sienna before he pulled both leaderships off.
Yeah, that's nice.
And that price of failure. So, I mean, I took away 3 potential resets there. And still losing, it feels bad. But, I mean, you know, all those reactivations and roll-ins with Maul Saber can sometimes just be almost too much to deal with for Sabine. If I don't see friends in low places to take away, like Boundless or anything like that, it can be a little tough.
Yeah, definitely.
Credit to him. Congratulations to him for finishing there. Next, I play Kylo Towson. And it was funny. Before this, I was talking to Bobby Sapphire from the Hyperloops, and I was talking to him about matchups and stuff like that. And I was telling him how even when I play Kylo with this deck, sometimes I go for Mother Talzin first, and he was just like in shock. He was like, "What? You have like, you know, maybe 5 or 6 gray cards in there. Like, you're gonna be taking that 2 damage every turn." I was like, "I don't know. The mom's the edge, and you know, seeing her late game can be kind of scary." Whereas Kylo, I mean, sure, he's kind of hitting for that 2 every time, but I also can manipulate my hand. Like, I remember at Rochester, I was holding on to 2 holdouts for a little bit. So I was able to play a card, you know, my first action, that way get a yellow card out of my hand and bring it down to 50% chance for him, which is, you know, even pretty good odds for multicolor decks. But this match, my first hand was all yellow. So I was like, all right, time to kill Kylo.
Yeah.
You know, you just kind of got to play it by ear in that instance. And I felt going for Kylo was good because then all he had on Mother Talzin towards the end, he played like a Maul Saber, but obviously she doesn't have any base melee side, so it was kind of at most doing 2 damage. And then eventually he got an heirloom on there, but at that point the game was already kind of closing out.
Yeah, I think it just depends too. Like certain games, like you're saying, like you saw mostly yellow or whatever, and like it just depends. Kylo's got 12 health, so that's a lot harder to burst down than just 9 for a Sabine deck. But if you don't see a weapon turn 1 or turn 2, or if you don't feel super confident in all your rolls, all your dice, then Talzin's probably the right option, just because she's the battery of the deck anyway. She's keeping the dice optimized. She's keeping more damage on the board. You can do 9 damage even with all right rolls with Sabine, but 12 in like a couple turns sometimes doesn't happen. You know, especially don't see the all the combo cards you need. So I think you made the right choice the first time, and obviously 5 and 2, you made the right choice this time.
Yeah, it's just something you kind of got to play by ear. And now if my deck had only like 2 gray cards, then maybe I go for Kylo every time, or 0 gray cards. But 6 isn't even that much, but I still feel like I can swing it a little bit more. But yeah, so 5 and 2 at that point. And then my last matchup was Hero Vehicles again, and that again wasn't very close. I was able to keep him off the stuff. I was able to vandalize his rally aid. I blew Rose off the board and just kind of, I was in control the whole time. I wasn't too worried. By the time he finally got vehicles out, he only had like Ezra left with already a few damage on him. So that is my day. That's 6 and 2. And I end up coming in 13th place was my final standing. And I think looking around, there were a few people that ended up dropping. I think 2 or 3 people ended up dropping. I know the Boba 7th guy that I beat ended up dropping, which I hope it wasn't because of me, but
yeah, that's rough too, because he's probably 3-1 at that point, and you know he could potentially win some more games. You know, he could go on, he could bump that SOS for you, but that's rough. And I saw, I think 3 6 and 2s made it into top 6, and then about like 6 or 7 were out of it. And
ultimately, you know, you always want to place as high as you can. But if I would have placed 9th, I think I would have flew over to FFG and burned their entire establishment down for creating Tome.
Yeah, I mean, FFG, we love you. Jack's just angry right now. Okay, he's speaking he's speaking ill. He doesn't mean it.
I honestly don't even like. There's already people on Discord who like will just reference 9th place to me.
Oh man, that's rough.
And I couldn't imagine if I got 9th place again. That would have been awful.
Guys, listen, we appreciate all feedback, all communication with us. We love it. Just don't bring up the number 9, the Jack, just at all. If you can, please.
The memes would have flowed if that would have happened.
Yes.
So I forget who said it at the regional, but somebody was like, Jack, you understand if you come in 9th that you're gonna have to remake your Golden Dice t-shirts and put like 9 on the back.
That's why
like a jersey almost.
I'm never going to regional. I already know my outcome, right? Third host has to get 9th, so I can't. I got to get on the way somewhere else.
Yeah, you're good. Just damn. But see, you know, Tommy's lucky. He started this 9th place curse. I broke it by getting 13th. So we're good now.
Yeah, okay. There we go. I'll play one.
You're welcome, Tommy. So that was regional. That was my report. Finished 6-2. Overall record between that and Rochester was 11-4. So not awful, but of course, like I said, I would have liked to got top 8. But both weekends were awesome, just getting to meet people and talking to them and, you know, just traveling and whatnot. It was a lot of fun. Definitely would do both all over again if it was required. And yeah, just happy with those weekends. The event was very well run, very smooth. And I think they ended up doing some draft pods after the 3rd round or 3rd or 4th round in case anybody dropped and stuff. So very pleased.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, like you went 6-2 at 2 regionals. That's a pretty good record right there each time. And, you know, and then I think this is also kind of going off the rail a little bit, but I believe some Worlds information came out where if you go 4-2 on either of the day ones, that you automatically make day 2. So you don't have to worry about SOS on that first day. So, you know, as long as you can keep the 2 losses as a max when you go to Worlds, you'll make it to day 2.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, but yes, it is a great relief for anybody who's going to Worlds. Just know that if you get 4 wins, you're in. You don't have to worry about strength of schedule.
Yeah, and then you do have to worry about it on day 2 to make the top 16 or whatever. But
yeah, which I think makes it a little bit more sense.
It does.
Like trying to cut down from there, I think it's tougher. If you were to try to get like everybody, I think the last day is 3 rounds.
Yeah.
If you were to give everybody who went 2-1 access, you'd be playing a lot more games, make the day longer. So it does feel bad if you go 2-1 that second day and miss the cut, but you know, it's just kind of how it is sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's progress. I think it's in the right direction for their organized play. So kudos.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that is that for my regional, and something amazing actually happened this week. Shane actually
I was gonna say.
the weekly tournament.
I showed up. I mean, I didn't. I actually played awfully, but I physically, my body was there.
Was there. Your body was ready.
My body went. My body went in your car to the store.
Yes, fact. So we'll quickly go through this just so you guys have an idea. I played the Elite Ayla, Elite Ray 2 that Bobby Sapphire piloted, and that was actually my second choice going into Connecticut. I had it with me, and it's actually really funny. On the way down, I messaged him. I was like, hey, are you actually going to run that deck? He's like, yeah, I think so. And me, from my perspective, was like, no way I could do that. Like, I don't have enough practice. You know, he made the deck. Of course he's going to be able to pilot it, and he's a great player. So I messaged back. I was like, oh, man, I don't have the balls to do that. So he messaged me back, LOL. I was like, crap, this guy thinks I'm insulting his deck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, wow, why would you ever bring that to a regional? When it was really just like, wow, I couldn't do that. I don't have enough practice. I don't have enough games or reps or idea of what I even want to do with that deck.
Yeah.
I was like, don't worry, Mike. I'm not insulting you.
Yeah.
Your craftsmanship of decks. But it's a good deck. I liked it. And starting out first round, I played 5-die Villain, and it was super close. He put 9 damage on Ayla first round, but then he got a little bit greedy and Price of Failured his Stormtrooper in that first round and rolled out Talzin and tried to finish off because he obviously knew he had an odd costed card due to the previous rollout of her. But I hadn't rolled out Ayla yet. So I rolled her out. I got a special. He rolled out, didn't roll damage, focused to a damage. I blanked it out, turned my other die to a special, and then stopped my turn. And then he pitched a reroll with the 1 card he had in hand, got 1 damage side, and I blanked it out. And that was that. So he Price of Failure for no reason. And they get, you know, I see why he would do that, because if he can get another activation out of Bala and kill Ayla that turn, it's probably game. But I think if you wait to the second round and do that, he's still going to be in a really good spot.
Yeah, I agree. It's ballsy, but yeah, it's tough. Ayla, I mean, if you don't get the specials with Ayla, but if you do, man, her special's nasty. A lot of mitigation on both sides.
Oh yeah, her that round, her job was literally just not die.
Yep.
and she did it.
And she did it.
So I'm proud of her.
So 1-0. Yeah, I played Frenchie, who was playing Yoda Hondo. But more importantly, I guess I got to talk about what I played. I brought Thrawn Talzin. I was super close to bringing my Afra deck, but I figured everyone's prepping for Connecticut at this point, so I wanted to bring a deck that people would actually get some benefit out of playing against. They're not going to see Afra in Connecticut, so I brought just Thrawn Talzin, what I've been playing for a little bit, and I think my run of Thrawn Talzin's coming to a close, and it's lasted a lot longer than pretty much any other deck I've played. But it was a good game. He was playing Yoda Hondo. I got really good calls with Thrawn. I was saying, I was just clipping things out of his hands. I was saying 3 early for a light bow because I knew he had 2 in his hand at one point and he pitched 1. So the next turn I said 3. I got a hyperspace jump late. I just made a ton of money, and I think, and you're going to see this. You're going to hear this being talked about for a little bit here. I played 3 Hondos that day, and out of 4 rounds, and I think everyone thinks that Thrawn's just got a perfect matchup for Hondo. He makes too much money. You just pay Hondo off. You don't care. Here's the problem. That works if you can kill the other character that's getting upgrades out prior to just being able to pay off Hondo. Because endgame, sure, you pay Hondo off, you're fine. You kind of just hang out, you pay Hondo, you kill the other guy, Hondo just makes a bunch of money, plays a couple upgrades. At that point, you already have 2 characters and you don't really care. But if you can't kill the other character fast enough and you're paying Hondo off already to keep Talzin alive, they start making money. And they start playing Obi's lightsaber, Lightbow. They start playing big stuff. And that's a problem. So I think it's an okay matchup that I don't hate. I don't think it's an auto win matchup or anything like that. It's still a tough matchup. This game, I got it. I got the win. Frenchie had some really cool plays with like Rebel. He saw me collecting resources. I pitched Rocket Launcher to reroll 0 because I wanted to rise again. And he like kind of noticed that. So he focuses to a discard side with like a 4-speed special and then takes his second action to play Rebel and plays scruffy looking Nerf Herder from the discard, says event, gets rise again. There's some really cool plays in there on both sides, but I end up squeaking that win out. So that's round 1.
Yeah, and as you mentioned with Poe Hondo, I actually played them next. But I think if you get into a Yoda Hondo, if you get into a situation where it's a 2-on-1 in their favor, like if one of your character dies before you can kill one of their characters, I think you're in such a bad spot. Because then they can still play the upgrades on that character, and you pay off Hondo, but then you're not advancing your board state, and they can do whatever they want. So
it's tough to come back, yeah, and it's tough to burst people with a Thrawn Talzin deck. You don't have that much damage, so you can't really burst the character out. So it's a tightrope to walk.
Yeah, definitely. So going on to round 2, I played a Yoda Hondo, and this was pretty good. I rolled very well the first round. I rolled out and got 6 damage off of Rey with the Shoto, so 2/2 plus 2, and he wasn't able to mitigate any of it. I was waiting for the easy pickings at that point, and I just put 6 in Yoda, so it was a pretty good spot. But then he was able to start shielding up, and it kind of took a little bit more of a chippy battle to kill Yoda, but I was able to finish him off. He had 2 shields and a Force Illusion, and I did 1 unblockable damage to finish him off there. So that was crazy, and then at that point I was able to mop up Hondo, and it wasn't too big of a deal, but it got a little bit scary because he had 2 cunnings on him at that point, and even if you're paying him 2 every time, you're still taking 6 and giving him 2 resources. So it was tough at times, but I was able to hold out with both characters, and that extra shield, that extra damage from Rey is super consistent.
Yeah, for sure. My round 2, I go against Tyler. He's playing Boba in 7th, and this is actually my first game against Boba in 7th. Talked about the deck a lot. And he sneaks this one out with about probably 5 or 6 health left on Boba, but he was playing really well. I was playing all right, so I activate in Thrawn a bunch of times, and I get some really good 0 calls. So I hit him for, I know that deck runs a ton of 0s, right? So first turn I hit him with lightsaber pull, so he can't get his Maul's lightsaber. I hit him with a bait and switch at the end couple turns, ripping bait and switch out of his hand, which is huge because that's that surprise damage card from that deck. Felt good. I really think I lost turn 2. So my turn 1 setup was fine. I play like 2 1-cost weapons. I mitigated dice. I'm feeling good. I have a bunch of resources going to round 2. Looking to draw up. I want to draw, I want to draw a rocket launcher, a 3-cost weapon. I want to draw a couple 1-cost weapons, some mitigation, anything like that. The hand I drew was 1 Feel Your Anger. So that's fine. I'll take a little bit of mitigation. 2 Tactical Masteries, 2 All-Ins. So that is about as bad as it can get when all you have is like a Imperial Discipline and like a hunting rifle out. So I do not need Tac Mastery. I do not need All In. That's all endgame stuff. That's what I want to see, late rounds. This round, I can't play any upgrades. I'm sitting on like $5. Can't play anything. it's rough. So those pretty much all got pitched just to get a couple rerolls, do a couple damage. That whole turn just set me real far behind. Fought back to get him down to about 5 or 6 health, but ultimately Tyler played really well and just got the win.
Maybe you should make a better deck, Shane.
That would be the option I would go with if I went to any other tournaments. Yeah, correct.
Cool. So that's round 2 for both of us. Going into round 3, I play Boba Seven Sister, not Tyler, not who you played. I played Chris, and yeah, it was super close. But again, I believe he went for Ayla first, which stinks to lose her mitigation from her dice. But Ray was able to just keep up with the pinging, and he rolled pretty poorly towards the end of the game, and I was just able to close it out. And the very last turn, it was very good. I rolled what I did because he had 2 ancients on him and a Shoto, so he had a shield. There might have been 2 Shotos and an ancient, I forget exactly, but he was 1 health away from dying, and I had synchronicity in my hand, and I was able to just play that and kill him without him being able to respond because he rolled out and got double specials on Boba, and then he had 2 bait and switches, and he got 2 resources on the ancients. So he could have potentially done, bait and switch into the +3 and then resolve Boba specials for 6 and then bait and switch into the 1 and do some 4 more. So it was good that I killed him then because 2 turns later I could have been in pretty bad shape. But that game was close, but I was able to close it out with that synchronicity at the end for 2 unblockable.
Yeah, that's nice. Round 3, I go. So I'm 1-1 at this point. I play Drew. He's playing Hondo Yoda again, so it's second matchup for the day. And I just make some mistakes here. He played really well. He got probably the big card of the game was Obi's lightsaber. He got Obi's lightsaber. I couldn't keep damage on Yoda, so he was just blasting characters with unblockable all around with Obi's lightsaber. And just doing Poe or Yoda Hondo things as well. One of my biggest mistakes is I roll out Thrall on turn 1. I get 2 blanks, and now when I see that, I'm looking, all right, is my opponent playing blue villain? If they are, I have to say 1. I have to try to get rid of Feel Your Angers. Well, I'm not thinking that 2 blanks are the same symbol, and it shows my lack of reps. But I don't say 1 to get rid of easy pickings in case he has that. I say 0, thinking that there's more zeros in this deck than I thought, and there really isn't. I'm thinking 4 speed, maybe caution, maybe chance cube, whatever they're running. I don't even know the exact Yoda Hondo list, and that's part of my demise here. But hey, I'm saying 0 too much, and in that first turn, roll 2 blanks on Thrawn. He's easy pickings me right back, and I'm like, yep, that's gonna be really hard to come back from. A couple other just weird notes from that game are and kind of every game, honestly, or at least the 3 that I lost. My big problem was I couldn't find a Rise Again at the right time, and it's very frustrating to play that. There's not really much you can do about it. It's just how the cards lie. I think this deck relies heavily on Rise Again because you make money so you can afford it, but Talzin's their first target. They're going to kill Talzin. She only has 9 health. You have to get it quick. You have to get Witch Magic early to heal for a little bit and then get a Rise Again. In this game, I force solution 3 damage away while I had about 6 resources, and the third card I flip over is Rise Again. So there's 1 out of 2 Rise Agains in my 30-card deck, and I'm only about 10 cards into my deck. So chance I'm drawing it up, not very high. So that was that game. Another game is just and I'll get to it in the 4th round. I see Rise Again at a weird time. Either I can't pay for it, or in the 4th game in particular, a really weird situation comes up with Rise Again. But I'll explain that in a second. But generally, yeah, just a rough game. He gets going real quick. I pay him a ton of money. And again, I like the matchup, but I don't love it. If he makes a lot of money and he sees Obi's Saber and he sees Lipo and things like that, it's going to hurt. And it did, for sure.
Well, Thrawn's a blue character, right?
I said that. I say, listen, Chiss, man, blue skin. It's a nice shade of blue. Can I please Rise Again him? And Drew's a nice guy. He did say no, though. So still respect.
He did say no, though. Hey, at least you tried. Cool. So moving on to round 4, I played Boba 7th again, and this was the list that you just played against Tyler. And I dropped this game. It was pretty close. I think I could have closed it out, but when he rolled out, he rolled the 1 on the Ancient, +3 on another Ancient, and +2 on a Vibra Knife for 6 unblockable. And I did have 3 shields on Ray and a Force Illusion, and I was at 5 damage, so that 6 unblockable just about sealed it. There was nothing. I didn't have any mitigation out of hand. I didn't have overconfidence or anything like that. So all my mitigation required my dice to be in the pool, as it does for Blue Hero sometimes. And yeah, so I wasn't able to do anything, and he was able to hit me for 6 unblockable, and that was that.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, that deck can hit real hard, surprisingly. So that means Tyler wins that tournament. Congrats, Tyler. Good work. I go in the round 4 just trying to...
Screw you, Tyler.
Yeah, screw you, Tyler. Tyler, you're a jerk. Trying to scrape some hope back. So 1 and 2, I'm not feeling great. I'm kind of feeling yeah, Thrawn's hit hard, can do some things, but sometimes it just doesn't. So I sit down against Arnold. He's playing Hondo again and Phasma too, which I was like, this is really cool. It's the first time I've seen Hondo on a dark side team that I've played against, so I was excited to play him. Really nice guy. And again, it's 3 Hondos, so I'm like, this is just weird. This whole test, see if I can handle this matchup. And I felt okay in the beginning. I made a couple like weird mistakes, like claiming resources while he had disrupt showing or something. But I'm going to claim the resources anyway. And the Hondo's either disrupting me or dealing 3 damage or paying him. So it's kind of like I disrupt 2 or he gets 1 resource from me. Either way, I'm kind of fine for disrupting 2. So I'm not even sure if that's a full on play, error. But the one turn that happens is I'm actually sitting on Rise Again. I have 5 resources in hand. I'm sitting on Rise Again, and Talzin's got a little bit of damage on her. I think 7 damage on her, and he hasn't rolled in yet. So I like pitch a T7 for to reroll nothing so I can Rise Again onto her. And I'm thinking, all right, he's got Hondo out and he has like Hunter Instincts on him. So he rolls in that. He rolls in showing 3 specials. Hondo special, Hunter Instinct special. So I am just like, oh my gosh. So if I pay him, right? So if I pay him for both of those, he can just finish me off with the other special for 2. Can't do anything. And he would just don't even resolve those 2 to attack Thrawn. If I Rise Again, I heal 5, I go down to 2 damage. And then I have 0 resources left to pay Hondo off. So then I'm taking those 3. So then I take the 3 from Hondo, and then again, the 2 from Hunter Instincts. So I'm like, this is insane. Like if Hondo doesn't roll a special there, or at least only 1 special, I can heal for 5. I can take the 3 and the 2, and Talzin's alive with the T7 on her. I can work on mitigating later. But all 3 specials right in a row is just like, wow, dude, that is just a weird situation where I can't even pay my way out of it. I can't. Healing 5 doesn't even do anything. So I had like 2 damage out with her, and I was like, I guess I'm going to resolve it. Or I had some dice out, and I was like, I don't even know what to do here. So definitely showed some lack of reps where I wasn't calling the right things with Thrawn. You really need to know each deck when you're playing Thrawn. And the dice weren't bad for me. The dice weren't bad for my opponents. It was just, I think I just made some errors, and I didn't love my matchups as much as I thought I was going to love them. So that's Destiny.
So you should start playing Hero Yellow for easy pickings.
I need to start playing more jank, man. Thrawn Talzin, I thought was jank. Tommy ended up being right by saying that wasn't jank. So I need to up my jank game. It's the only way I'm going to get wins.
For real.
It's the only way.
So welcome back to our Monday Night Tournament, Shane. I'll see you again in about 6 months.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. I just want to real quick shout out everybody
perfect.
there. Everyone was super nice. Obviously to me, I knew most of those guys, so it was really cool. I brought a brand new friend, my friend Flock. He showed up and he didn't do great. He was playing like Kylo do Asajj. Doesn't have a ton of cards. He's actually
who let him go up with that deck, dude? What's the matter with you? You call yourself
he wanted to play with his own cards, so he didn't want to borrow stuff. So he wanted to play with his own cards, and he's quickly becoming an addict. I mean, he's dropping tons of money buying lots of boxes. But we wanted to let him use his own deck, have his own fun, and he had a lot of fun. He had a blast. He showed up. He went 0-3 with a bye as well, and came in toward the end. Didn't win any packs, but everyone there was such a gentleman that any packs that people opened that they had the rares already for, they just handed him the whole pack. And Joey even, who I think plays top 3 or 4, I think he won 4 packs. He's like, you know what, Flock, you take the packs. I don't need any more legacies. And that's just is a show of how awesome this can be. And I think Tyler worked to walk away with like 11 dice cards. So like, I mean, he made out all right, and that's awesome. And that's what we want. We want new people. We want to help you out, and it's the same thing with this podcast. We want people who are just starting the game to write in. We want people who are loving the game to write in. We want to help. That's all we want to do, and that was super cool to see. Me bring a friend that I personally know who is just starting and receive that kind of support from people he has no idea who they are.
Yeah, I pulled a Talzin. I gave it to him. I was like, get that Asajj Ventress out of your deck right now and put this Talzin in there.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And my streak of opening Yodas continued. I won 8 packs in second place and pulled a Yoda, a speeder tank, and an Aphra. So I was happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pissed about. I still have 1 Aphra and 1 speeder tank, so I'm still sitting here. I'm like, you know what? Jack's just swimming in like 8 speeder tanks. He could start a pirate army.
Yeah, man. Talk to your brother. Let's work some trades, dude. I'll take 5 Yodas for a speeder tank.
Yeah, I mean,
it costs 5, so that should be even. All right, so that is that for our weekly. We have huge news from FFG, as you guys have probably seen and probably surprised we haven't mentioned it yet. They changed their quarterly kits to seasonal kits.
Can you believe it?
And I don't know if you've seen these, but they look pretty cool. It's a holdout blaster. It's the Forces with me, and it's black damage tokens with like a red outline and a red number 1. So it's the single damage tokens, and the holdout blaster looks pretty sweet. The Forces with me looks pretty sweet, and I actually really like the damage tokens, but oftentimes it's hard with them to tell until you are holding them in your hand. I'm a little upset about the holdout blaster, simply because, right, we're a year into the game, and still, so far, every seasonal or quarterly kits, whatever they're calling them now, has been awakenings, right? We've had Kylo, we've had Finn, we've had Jango, we've had Jetpack, and now we've had holdout blaster.
Yeah, it just seems. It seems too much. And we were talking about it earlier. It seems like Hidden Blaster could have just taken this exact, almost the exact artwork if you felt like it, and just called this card the Hidden Blaster, and then hey, it stays with, it's in trilogies now. It stays in standard longer. Just, I mean, it's cool artwork. Don't get me wrong, it's cool, but like at the same time, Hidden Blaster is another neutral gray weapon that could have been replaced with this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's cool art. I'm not complaining at all about the artwork. I very much like it, right? Somebody turn around real quick, knocking their blue milk over, it looks like. I dig it. I just think it should have been Hidden Blaster so we could get more mileage out of it. But that's a little disappointing. The Force is with me isn't like a crazy card. It would have been awesome if they went back and did, some of those core cards, like they've done Electroshocks and Isolations and stuff, which I thought were pretty cool. Guards, which was also really cool. And this one, it's a remove a die showing ranged or indirect damage. And so it's probably not bad. It probably doesn't see a lot of standard play, but maybe isn't awful in trilogies where there's a lot of indirect running around right now in that format. But nothing crazy.
You know what? I mean, they could have even done Mislead. I'm just thinking of this now, but like, blue neutral, like same type of thing. You want a removal card like Electroshock and Isolation, you could have just went Mislead. And I don't mean to sound super complaining about anything. The cards are really cool, but like you want to make these promos so people put them in their decks and you can actually see them out there. I mean, they're spending the money on these cool cards. They're going to tournaments to get these cool cards. You want to put them in relevant decks, right? And I just think Mislead and Hidden Blaster would be relevant for longer. And that's the only thing. But other than that, I mean, can't complain. The tokens look really cool. The art on both cards looks awesome. And it's just, I think just the actual card itself could have been shifted a little bit, but still pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love it regardless. I'll use them regardless. It's not like something I'm necessarily disappointed with, but I understand that it could have been better at the same time. So,
yeah, and that's pretty much all FFG did this week. I mean, they didn't really announce anything else, right?
No, I think that just about does it. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. You can go on Facebook, go on Twitter. We are out there. Actually, here, somebody just sent me this. Way of the Force.
What's that? What does that mean?
Have you heard of this? I haven't. Dude, we are so funny right now. I bet every listener is cracking up at us.
They're so funny.
10 out of 10 thumbs up. There you go. In case you guys have been living under a rock, Way of the Force is the new expansion that was just announced by FFG, and I'm excited, man. Hyped. I'm so I'm in on Discord. I'm in basically every Discord that you can be in, right? I'm in the Double Blanks. I'm in the iRebel one. In Artificery, Knights of Ren, and the Hyperloops. And I always enjoyed it because at different times there might have been different conversations hopping around. There's different people in all of them. But when you're in all of them and a spoiler happens, oh my gosh, my phone was like blowing up. I just couldn't keep up with all the spoilers, everybody talking about them. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die.
Yeah, that's probably your first time, right? Being in a new set and being in all those Discord chats and a new set getting dropped like that. You probably weren't in all those Discord chats back when Legacy started getting teased months ago. So I mean, yeah, it's huge. It's huge. It's amazing. The set looks really cool. All the cards are great. Let's dive into this.
Yeah, let's get right into this. So we'll just go through the order of the cards that are in the article, and it starts off with General Grievous. He's a fearsome cyborg. He has 13 health, and his points are 15 for a single die and 20 for elite. His dice sides are 1 melee, 2 melee, 3 melee, 2 disrupt, 1 resource, blank. And his subtitle is a character, and he's a leader. And then his special text about him, it says, ignore all play restrictions on weapons played on this character. He can have 1 additional upgrade, so that means he can have 4 upgrades on him. And he has a power action, and it says, if 4 of this character's weapon dice are in your pool, deal 4 damage to a character. So he seems awesome, and I like him, but I don't, of course we have to see the rest of the set, and there's other cards in here that relate directly to Grievous, which we will talk about in just a minute, but I do not think Grievous is going to be meta warping or anything like that. He might be decent in trilogies because he could just roll out and do a crap ton of damage, and you might not be ready for it, but he almost, to me, first glance, without seeing, only 9 cards or whatever it is from this set, he just seems almost like, we talk about win more cards, these 4 cost upgrades. It's like, all right, if you're playing that, you're already probably winning, whatever it might be. He almost seems like a win more character with his abilities, because half the times, unless your deck is specifically built around ramping, you're really not getting 3 meaningful upgrades on him that, on your characters at a time. Normally you have 2, and that third spot might be like a Force Illusion or one of those free cheap, like a Chance Cube or Force Speed or, whatever it might be. Unless you're playing Holocrons, of course, then you can just vomit out if you roll well and draw well. But he has really good sides, of course, so he could just do damage by himself. but I have a hard time picturing four game-changing weapons being on him and doing enough work on him to get that to actually be fruitful. Like most of his points are probably coming from that power action, that ability, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be that good. Because I mean, you could say, "Oh, I'm going to throw a bunch of these one costs like a DH-17 and a hunting rifle on." And I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know, you have mixed damage size, you're a little bit slower, give me more chance to mitigate or do whatever I need to do. So I like him a lot. Like it's cool. I think he could definitely just go into games and just roll threes and get like a few upgrades on him. You know, the dream, of course, would be like having like 2 batons and 2 heirlooms on him and just go into town. But I like him, but I don't think he's going to be as good as definitely. I don't think he's going to be better than Luke, which we'll get to in a bit, but he might not even be better than the other character.
Yeah, for like anytime we're going to give an opinion here saying like good or not good for right now, we know like we barely have seen any of the set, obviously. So we have no idea what's coming, no idea what support they're coming with, but we're going to give opinions on what we think about the character in general. I think he's interesting. I think one thing that's really cool is the handcrafted lightsaber from Rivals on him is cool because you ignore play restrictions. So playing on an exhausted character is a play restriction, so you can play that on him readied, and that's pretty cool.
You could put a Maul's lightsaber on him. Oh, that's what you need. 2 batons, an heirloom, and a Maul's lightsaber. That's
the dream. And like again, like you're saying, that's a dream. I mean, 13 health is a ton. That's what I like him. I think he's a gimmick character. I don't think he's going to be super, super competitive, which means I am in love with him. Which means I'm like, yes, Grievous. Like you're an awesome legendary. I want you top my list. You're so cool. I totally want to go after him. I think another hard thing is just keeping all 4 weapon dice in the pool. So I mean, even if you're just rolling 4 weapon dice, them removing a 2 on any weapon is like removing 6 damage because you're removing the power action. So you're gonna need tricks that either get it quick. So attack mastery,
3 steps ahead, baby. Activate power action resolve.
That's what you would need to do all of it.
I doubt you'll have 3 resources sitting around if you have 4 upgrades in play, but
if you're playing Grievous and that, I mean, you can do just tack mastery into roll power action and then just hope you can, roll some more damage after that. So there's things, and as we go, you'll see another card Furious Assault that'll also boost him a little bit. But I mean, like, I don't know. I like him. I think he's cool. I think it's a cool card. I think it's a much needed revisit of the old Grievous.
Absolutely.
I think he's definitely interesting and fun. So I guess we can move on to the wheel bike.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to point out too, as we mentioned that it says ignore all play restrictions on weapons. So of course, as Shane mentioned, it's a crafted lightsaber.
Yeah, handcrafted lightsaber from Rivals.
I think it's from the Rivals. It's the 2 cost upgrade, but it says play only on an exhausted character, and that is a play restriction, so you can ignore that. Maul's lightsaber says play on a blue character only. That is a play restriction, which you can ignore. But Maul's lightsaber is still unique. That isn't a play restriction. That's more of like a board state type thing. So it's unique no matter what. So I think ultimately you still wouldn't be able to have 2 Mauls. That's not a play restriction. That's more of like I said, a board game state type thing. I could be wrong, but that's kind of what I think it is looking to be.
Now, yeah, that's even if that's wrong in the current rule set, I'd put money on they're gonna change that to make sure. Like, I don't know how the exact wording of the rule is, or if it even has a little bit of a gray area. I think after he comes out, there will be no gray area. You will not have 2 unique upgrades of the same name on the board at any time on the same side of the board. I think that is the purpose of that rule. So look for that.
Yep. All right. So yeah, moving on. I just want to clarify that in case anybody was interested in what we meant by that. The next is General Grievous's wheel bike. It is a 3 cost support vehicle. It has a 1 ranged, a 2 melee, a +3 melee, 1 disrupt, 1 discard, and a blank. And the power action is spend 1 resource or spot General Grievous to ready the support. All right, Shane, you have to help me here. I don't understand this. You build a character, right, whose entire focus is getting weapons on him, and then you make a support that is supposed to complement him. I'm sorry, that just doesn't. I like. And this, we'll see this later on as we get into more cards, but the spot General Grievous, I love that. That is such awesome flavor to the game. And I'm so excited to see more of that come out in future sets. But I'm sorry, when your character's based around getting 4 upgrades, you try to tell me that I am going to spend 3 on a support vehicle. I'm not sure about that. And it's dice don't even blow me away. I mean, it's got a 1, 2, and 3. The 3's modified and a disrupt and discard. So it's not awful, but for 3, I don't know. And this is legendary also, too, in case anybody's listening, as was Grievous.
No, you're right. Yeah, that is a little bit disheartening. But yeah, I mean, You're right. So first thing I wrote down when I looked at this card was, love that they're playing with the spot mechanic. So playing with it to be either you have an option to spend $1 or spot a specific character. Great mechanic to play with. There's so much room in this game to explore those mechanics that they already have set out, like they do with plots, and we'll get to that in a bit, how you can change how plots can be on either faction or color specific. But yeah, why? I mean, I get it. So if you do have this out and you're rolling in this die twice, is that worth 3 resources? Yes, I do think it is. Even though dice isn't amazing, but if you get it twice, I think it might be worth 3 resources if you get out early enough and you can get it twice for 2 to 3 turns. But when are you going to have $3 to spend on this support and put 4 weapons on Grievous? I mean, again, we don't know what's coming out. So we have no idea what kind of weapons are coming out.
It would be really cool if they added like a 1 or 2 cost like lightsaber to red. And it's almost like, I don't remember them right now, but the names of the lightsabers that he stole, the Jedi that he killed to get those lightsabers, it would be really cool if they made those as like red villain upgrades. I think that'd be really awesome.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. And again, we don't know what's coming out for there. So there could be stuff that, even could bring in 2 dice for 1 upgrade, like kind of like the Runaway Boomboss have that power action. If you can bring in an extra dice for an upgrade, we don't know what's coming. So we don't know what is going to actually be out there, but it totally seems backwards to play this support and have that Grievous. That being said, this is spot General Grievous. There's 2 General Grievouses. So if you're still playing Awakenings General Grievous, put this in your deck.
Yeah, it might actually be better with him.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
at least if you're going to play it, if you had to ask me which General Grievous I'd rather play it with, I'd say the first one, simply because the second one, the new one coming out, I'm just going to try to vomit out weapons.
Oh, and I will, Jack. I will.
All right, so moving on to a new card. This is an uncommon red villain. It is a 2-cost event. It's called Furious Assault. And this, again, goes back to the spot characters we're just talking about. It says spot 2 red characters or General Grievous to roll all weapon dice on one of your characters in your pool. So if you get Grievous... And again, like I'm talking about, almost seems like a win more. He just seems like a win more character. Like if you have 4 upgrades on him and 4 good upgrades and you rolled them out, you did the power action, you resolved them, you're probably winning the game or about to win the game. And then if you suddenly have 2 more resources to pay for this and roll them all back out into the pool, it just feels win more. And I think it could be something that could pull you back, but I don't know. It just seems like it might not be as good as it potentially seems, just because it's 2 costs. Like that's expensive while playing upgrades, as we've mentioned before. And of course, like we said, they could come out with cheap upgrades that are really good, but I'm not necessarily sold on it just yet. But pulling this off would be hilarious.
Yeah, and I think it's also another card that helps keep, even just obviously living the dream, rolling in all 4 dice again, that's great. But again, I was talking about keeping 4 Grievous dice in the pool. That's kind of tough. But if you roll in Grievous and then, 3 dice get mitigated, or you just resolve, or 1 dice gets mitigated, then you resolve some of his weapon dice, and then you just do this and roll all 4 back in, that's crazy. But again, like Jack's saying, that does seem like a win more type situation. I kind of like this without Grievous almost. I mean, spot 2 red characters, so it's again same thing as like Lockdown. You'd be playing like a mono red type deck, but 2 resources. If you have big things out, if you have a baton out, or if you have rocket launchers, things like that, rolling in like 2 or 3 of those dice for 2 toward the end of the game, pretty solid. I mean, it could definitely be strong. Are you going to have 2 red characters alive toward the end of the game? So it might be a Grievous card.
Is there any current deck that has 2 red villain characters?
I mean, current deck as in like that you saw at Connecticut, or like on my phone?
I don't know what's on your phone. Could get some weird stuff on there. But I'm saying, generally in the meta right now, I don't think there's any decks. And of course that changes with the new set, obviously.
No,
but I was just trying to think in my mind. I don't think there's any current decks that would add this.
The only thing that comes to mind, like Krennic Sienna, when that kind of popular again, some people just kind of rocked Bala instead of Sienna, but Sienna does make more money. So like stuff like that, and you're going to make money to have a card like this be played. We don't know what's coming out for red, like cheap wise. So I don't know. It's an interesting card. I kind of like the concept of it. I don't know again how much play Grievous we'll see outside of my own playing of him. Yeah.
So we'll just have to wait and see what new weapons come out that might push Grievous over the edge a little bit. Yeah. So moving on, we are now in Yellow Hero, and this is Bo-Katan, and she is both a Clone Wars and a Rebels character for anybody that is curious. And she's a Death Watch lieutenant. She has 12 health, and has 15 points for single die and 20 for elite, so the same as General Grievous. She is a character and a trooper. Her sides are 3 ranged, 2 melee, 1 shield, 1 resource, special, blank. Her special reads deal 2 damage to a character or 3 damage instead if this character has 1 or more villain upgrades. And also in her text, it says you can include yellow villain upgrades in your deck, not just weapons, upgrades. So that opens a lot of possibilities. And people have already been throwing around Crime Lord. I'm not sure if that's going to be good, but it definitely has to be tested to see what can come from it in hero decks.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta at least put that on the list, because when you talk about yellow upgrades, that's the big one. So I like her. I think she's cool. I mean, I think it's important to say she's only a rare. So if you're a new player getting in, you can pull a card like this and be like, wow, this is a powerful card. And again, I think that's FFG's kind of thought process is, let's make some cards, but not all the legendary ones are going to be the most powerful or the best. They're going to be the kind of interesting, tougher to use, more game mechanic-y. She's just beat face. She's cool. I like her as a character in both shows. She's got big sides, and as a rare, it's pretty neat. Something funny things. I mean, yeah, I'm not looking at Crime Lord, but just bringing LL40s are pretty nasty.
Yep.
Ambush and redeploy to light side, and then the first funny one that popped in my head is Cable Launcher, because I totally love Cable Launcher. So bringing that over as well. But anything, I mean, On the Hunt, any of the 1-cost ones, there's a lot. There's a lot of good yellow upgrades out there. So definitely opens up a huge door for deck building.
It is interesting to me too. As we mentioned, both these past 2 characters were 20 points. And Legacies, I almost thought that they were trying to get away from that and almost starting to develop a lot of in the range of 13 to 17 cost characters. That way you were seeing a lot of variety of decks. A lot of people could plug in and go wherever. Like, for example, Zeb was 17 and you could run Yoda with him. You could run Kanan, you could run Ayla and Rey. And it's like all these different options. And now these first 2 characters they spoiled are 20 points, which I struggle to see breaking into the meta at that alone. Of course, unless there's a solid 10-point character for each of them to go. But I think you've just seen, I mean, there's no really, Sabine's probably the only one in which you can get away with a 20-point character, really. Even Obi-Wan is 19, and that opens up Maz for him, allowing him to focus and deal damage and stuff like that, and kind of action sheet. And that's what these big characters need. If they can't action sheet and their dice get removed, then your whole plan falls apart. So that would be my only concern. But she has 3 damage sides, which are 3, a 2, and it could be a 2 or a 3 for the third one. So I definitely like her. It definitely opens up interesting doors with that I am excited to explore with the villain stuff. But at 20 points, a little nervous.
I agree, but she's cool.
All right, so that is it for Bo-Katan. We are moving on to another legendary, which is crazy. The amount of legendaries, we're at 3 right now with Grievous, his speeder bike thing, and now this card, which is Formidable. It is a 2-cost yellow villain upgrade ability. Its sides are 2 melee, 1 shield, 2 shields, special, blank, and the special is deal 1 damage to an opponent's character. If that damage was not blocked, you may move an equipment or weapon from that character to another one of that opponent's characters. And I know a lot of people looking at this, it kind of seemed like whatever. But I actually am excited for this. I don't think it'll be meta warping, but it is something that could almost act as removal or just moving things that, if they're showing some type of damage on a weapon, you resolve this and you move it to another, ideally exhausted character, and that die is suddenly removed from the pool and they can't roll it back in. Now, of course, opponents might be able to play around that. Once they roll in and they see that special, they resolve their weapon dice. So that way, if you end up moving it, you're moving it to a ready character. But it also could, live the dream of resolving this, moving a big upgrade to a character that's about to die, and then killing that character. So I think it has a lot of options, and I really like it. And it can come in hero decks if you're running Bo-Katan.
Yeah, I mean, I just wrote down the same exact thing. So obvious one, move it to a dying character, eliminate the upgrade completely. Less obvious one is more of like a cargo hold play for using cargo hold as removal to move over an upgrade for the dice to actually get removed. So I mean, definitely interesting. I like the
its sides too. I mean, the 2 melee, great. 2 damage.
Why not?
And 1 shield, 2 shield. I love 2 shields. That is such a good side to resolve in this current world.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason I have currently been in love with Aphra. But yes, 2 shields is a really good place to be. I think it's cool. I don't know. I mean, the legendary tag's interesting, but again, that kind of goes to show this is more of a interesting card, not the best card, not the strongest, obvious, most useful, plug it in everywhere card. But I like it. Cool artwork. I'm okay with it.
Well, I find it funny when people talk about like what is or shouldn't be a legendary. And I think the biggest one that people talked about is like Greedo. And they're
Yeah.
like, he shouldn't have been a legendary. He's only 7 and 11 points. I'm like, I don't know who dictates that. Like,
Yeah.
why not have a legendary that's super flexible and can fit in a lot of decks at 7 points or
Yes.
11
Yeah,
points?
Towson should be a legendary. Are you kidding me? It's like,
Yeah,
come
really.
on.
I don't think legendary is necessarily reserved for these like broken upgrades or these like 18 to 20 point characters, but
Nope.
that's just me.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think that's what they're doing. And I think they're showing that as Bo-Katan is a rare, and then this is a legendary. So I love what they're doing.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan was a rare too in Legacy,
Yep.
so
Yeah, that's a big one.
all right, cool. So moving on from Formidable to another yellow villain upgrade ability. This is also a rare. It is 1 cost and is called Underhanded Tactics. Its sides are +1 range, +1 range, 1 discard, special, blank. The special is deal 1 indirect damage to an opponent. You may resolve another one of your dice. I don't know. It's a 1 cost. That's fine. I don't think it's something crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, the only two things I can think of are, all right, do you want to vomit yellow dice in a villain deck where you're trying to play fight dirty and things like that? That does help. Like super dreaming, I'm thinking, all right, deal an indirect to an opponent, resolve it special, and then you can resolve another one of your dice. Well, if you're taking the resolve special actions there, if your other action or other dice that you're resolving is a focus other specials, then you can continue to resolve specials. But it just seems so much like a stretch. It just seems so unnecessary. So I think the only thing I could see this going in is like that just kind of 5 die like yellow mono yellow villain just vomit deck. But I like overall I like the way that they have given these previews out, like introducing we have 3 legendaries now. We will see 4. But first, they show, hey, look, we're going to introduce characters that were in the game, but we're going to introduce them as a new version. And then we're going to show you off this new mechanic of spotting a particular character. That's cool. And then they go to, hey, look, we want to show you some other stuff in a different color. So let's show you this yellow hero. But hey, this yellow hero can bring in villain decks. So we're going to totally switch it up and show you some villain upgrades. And I just think that's a cool way to do this preview. So it has me very excited, even if this card can be slightly underwhelming.
I like the artwork, dude. It's pretty gruesome. It's like a guy's laying on the ground with his arm or hand ripped off.
Yeah. You got to do what you got to do, man. Sometimes you got to rip a Viridian's hand off.
You got to do what you got to do. All right, moving on to probably the card that most people are talking about, and this is Luke Skywalker. He's a reluctant instructor. He has 12 health, and his point costs are 12 for a single die and 15 for elite. His die sides are 1 focus, 1 shield, 2 shield, 2 shield, 1 resource, blank. And his text says, you may resolve the shield sides of this die as if they were melee damage. So same type of thing as Zeb, where you can resolve his as melee or ranged. And then Luke has a power action, and it says move a blue ability from this character to another blue character. So Luke looks awesome. And I mean, you're looking at a 15-point character that could potentially have a 1/2/2 damage size, which is crazy, but it's also flexible. And at this point in the game, it's like just giving yourself more options to adapt to situations is just great. And him having that ability and him having 12 health for 15 points or even 12 points if you run him at single die, like that is such great value. And of course, he is a legendary. I don't believe I said that. I think the biggest drawbacks of him is that, of course, if you run another blue character with him, it won't be as bad, but you do not have the guard play with him, and force misdirection takes a big hit without having an actual melee side showing. That, of course, I still think he's a fantastic character, super flexible, and just per points, man, he's just a fantastic deal.
He is, yeah. I talked to Tommy a lot about this card, actually. And yeah, so obviously moving an ability, it's just a cool thematic thing for this character. He's teaching Rey the Force or whatever, so he's moving an ability over, which is awesome. Great character. I think he's underpriced, if anything. He's 12 health is crazy. And like you said, having all shield size is interesting, and it does kind of hurt that he can't force misdirect or guard as well. But at the same time, he's less susceptible to like Into the Garbage Chute and other damage removing cards because you can't remove his shield. So that's also super strong. And as Tommy would say, and right now Tommy's like off the wall, like, why would they make Luke? He's so strong, blah, blah, blah. And Tommy would call this character, I believe, the Balance of the Force most wanted list. He would make the top of that list. That's what Tommy would call this character. And I do agree. This is pretty strong. But you know what? It's old man Luke, man. Mark Hamill just got a star on Hollywood, so give him a star card.
Yeah, and it seems that they're almost moving, like it's so hard to compare like these characters to Awakenings because they didn't really have the game figured out just yet.
No,
And I feel
yeah.
like they're starting to move towards this structure of higher health characters. Now, of course, Luke is still good for his points, right? The last two characters we both saw were 20 points, and one had 13, and the other had 12 health. And of course, they were 20 points, and Luke's sitting here at 15 with 12 and 3 shield sides. So
Yeah.
he definitely can stick around and have a lot of stay power. But I feel like we're just starting to move towards more characters, these aggro type characters having much more health, closer to 11, 12, 13 than previously, where it was like 9, 10, and then 11 was crazy. And Vader back in the day, oh my gosh, 13, like that was unheard of. But I think we're starting to move that way a little bit more. And maybe with this whole set revealed, Luke might not seem as crazy, but he's definitely going to be good in standard when he comes out. And until Awakening's block rotates out, he will definitely be one of the top characters. But it'll be interesting to see how he plays out. Of course, looking at him, I mean, people thought Yoda, when he was spoiled, he was the boogeyman. And Yoda's, I mean, he's not really going too crazy, I don't think. So
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, you got to see whole set coming out, so we don't know what's coming. But yeah, from the standpoint, yeah, definitely can make some people nervous seeing how good he is. But it's Luke. He is Star Wars. He should have a good character.
Exactly. Cool. All right, so that is Luke, and we'll move on to something that interests me a lot: the new plot. It is built to last. It is a 4-cost plot, so that is a lot, and it's what it says. Its text is: each of your unique upgrades has the redeploy keyword. After you play a unique upgrade, you may exhaust this plot to gain 1 resource. So this is crazy good. This is obviously better than Profitable Connections. Having said that, like, what deck do you run?
Yeah.
But like, where do you have 4 points to spare? I just don't. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I really don't know. You need to have 26 points of characters and you need to have access to a couple colors to make it worth it. So what does it do? It makes unique upgrades without redeploy a little bit better. So it's trying to make Zeb's bow rifle a little bit better. I don't know. It's trying to make.
We've got 16 unique upgrades in the game, it seems, according to Star Wars Destiny database, and it doesn't even affect all of them. So, I'll read through a few just so you guys might have an idea of what can get redeploy, so you can have an idea of how powerful that can be. One of them is Captain Phasma's blaster, but of course, if it's on Phasma, it has redeploy anyways.
Yep.
Not too crazy with that. Grand Inquisitor's lightsaber, not really played that much, but also, and keep in mind, all of these their costs are almost reduced by 1. You still have to pay up front, but as soon as you pay for it, you get a resource back.
Yeah.
So the Inquisitor, that could help some of these things, like the Inquisitor's lightsaber coming down to 3. Journals of Ben Kenobi. I don't think anybody really cares to play that for free or give that redeploy.
Yeah.
It's not just blue, right? It's any unique upgrade.
Yeah, any unique upgrade.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got Callus's bow rifle, Kylo's lightsaber. I think Kylo's lightsaber would be pretty cool having that.
That's true.
Luke Skywalker's lightning rod, which we'll get to next. Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, which might not be bad. Master of the Council for 3 and redeploy.
Yeah.
Maul's lightsaber, I think, is a huge one.
Yep.
That for 2 and redeploy. That'd be crazy. Maz's goggles, Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber, which would be cool.
Yeah.
Poe's blaster would be cool. Prize possession would be funny. Rey's lightsaber already has it. Rey's staff will get it, and Zeb's bow rifle. So those are the unique upgrades that could be affected by this.
Yeah. But again, you're spending 4 points of your 30 points to put this in your list, and you have to have blue in that list. It's a blue plot, and I like that. I like them playing with that mechanic. Now it's a plot that's specific to that. It's still neutral, so it can go light side or dark side. So that's why Jack read through all of those on both sides. But it's just interesting, and I kind of like it with Maz's goggles. To be honest, this might be my favorite. It's just Maz's goggles for free with redeploy. That card's crazy. It's got hand picking. It's got 2 focus sides. It's pretty cool. But I like the mechanic of it. And we're going to get into this in a second, but the new set promises tons of unique weapons. So I feel like we've seen a very small fraction of what we're going to see.
Yeah. And again, like you said, I don't know what list you're running at 26 points that is still effective, but of course we don't have all the characters. So it could be
exactly.
It could be something that it ends up being extremely powerful. But I like it. I like the flavor of it. And to me, I laugh at the fact that you give prize possession redeploy.
That is it's like you're never getting your dice back. Yeah. It's that State Farm guy saying you got to be quicker than this. And he's just pulling your dice to the other character.
Yeah, with the check on the string, the fishing rod.
Yep.
All right. So that is that for the plot built to last. We'll move on to what I think is a super, super great card. It is Luke Skywalker's lightning rod. It is a 2-cost upgrade equipment. And its die sides are 1 melee, 2 melee, 2 melee, 1 shield, 1 resource blank. And its text says, while this upgrade is attached to Luke Skywalker, you may resolve this melee damage sides of this die as if they were shields. So if it's on him, you have that flexibility of resolving a bunch of shields or a bunch of damage with his dice being flexible also. And for 2 cost, oh my gosh, 1 melee, 2 melee, 2 melee, that is so good. And I think the one thing that keeps this in check from being absolutely like broken or above the curve of everything else that we've seen is the fact that it isn't a weapon. So you can't lightsaber pull it, you can't stack it with Padawan, and Shoto does not affect it.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest downfall of this, but I'm still going to play it. Like, it's still absolutely good for 2 costs that, like, I don't think you really can beat the die sides of this and the ability of this for any other blue hero 2 cost.
Yeah.
And it is a rare.
It is a rare, yeah. I think the biggest downside is that it's unique, so you can't have 2 of them out because this thing's crazy good. Man, I would totally put it out. And also, shout out for Mr. Chip for noticing that Luke Skywalker's lightning rod is, in fact, card number 69. That's quality work over there. So,
Mr. Chip doing the important work, answering all the questions that we're looking for.
The big Qs, man. Oh, man. Yeah, this thing's good. This thing's very solid. And I don't know, man. I just feel like, is Luke ever going to die? If you get this on, that's 4 shield sides plus Luke's 3 shield sides. And it's just like, dang, Luke's not going to die. And then when he's stable and he's not feeling like he's going to die, he's going to turn all his shields into damage. So he's pretty nasty. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I dig it a lot. I already see this seeing a lot of play, and it's very, very well worth it.
So I think no modifiers. Shield research. It's nasty.
So good. I couldn't imagine how crazy this would be though if it was a weapon and it worked with Shoto.
Oh yeah, or later, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Or pull or whatever, man. It's too much. So thank God.
I barely play pull, but that would be fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, but you're right. With Shoto, it would match perfectly with Shoto. It's already going to match perfectly with Shoto. But I mean, if it was a weapon as well, it'd be really strong.
Exactly. So that is that for the spoilers for Way of the Force.
So now,
and I'm excited about it. And there's a part of the title the article that I would like to read. Oh, actually, before I do that, on the box, I want to talk about what was on the box. If you zoom in, you can see General Leia. You can see her face, and you can also see Dooku, almost like a younger looking Dooku, it seems, on the box. And those are dice, so you know they are going to be most likely characters it's looking like. So that's exciting to see them and potential that they have.
Yeah, it could be some kind of weird upgrade.
Yeah.
But yeah, they should be characters. And I mean, they could be like, Rebellion leader technically is Bail Organa or whatever. So not 100% confirmed, but
yeah, the only thing I think it has going for it is that like even Rebellion leader is kind of like almost zoomed out like a little bit. Like it's not necessarily centered on the face where all the characters you will see like it's straight up in the face, which both of these dice seem to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. You're looking at like 7 pixels on the side of a box. So don't sue us if you don't get a new Dooku, but we do think that's what's coming.
Yeah, and the sides that you can tell, it almost looked like Dooku is like a 3 melee for 1. He's further in the back, so you can't really tell. And then for Leia, it looks like she has a shield side and a double focus. So those are the sides. If you're looking for that picture, it wasn't like zoomed in, you can head over to our Twitter. I posted that the other day, so you can take a peek at that if you haven't seen that. And also on the box is Snoke.
Yep.
Now, the question is he going to be a character, or are they going to pull what they did with Empire at War with Boba and Leia with Deadly and whatever that card with Leia was on it? The reroll die and heal for the value showed that you just rolled or whatever.
Yeah, Defiance. Yeah, it's man. The side of the box art has gotten us so many times, but I really hope it pulls through because I want Snoke. I really do. I would love to see a Snoke in this game. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I hope he is a character rather than a dice card or an uncommon like Deadly was. But so I will read what was in the article, which reveals a lot of things. Now, nothing specific, but a lot of meaty things that we can talk about. So I'll read it real quick. It said, featuring 160 brand new cards, Way of the Force revisits many of the saga's most iconic characters in fresh new ways, focusing on their unique equipment, abilities, and tactics. The set includes the most expensive support yet to enter the game, a new way to bring back a defeated character, and a rare battlefield that comes complete with its own die. Furthermore, look for mechanics introduced into the newest base set legendaries to be expanded upon, such as the plot cards that can completely change how you play the game. Oh my gosh, this excites me. So we're going to see more. Like the thing I'm most excited about is this unique, bringing back iconic characters and focus on their unique equipment, abilities, and tactics. Like we saw that with Grievous with the 2 costs, roll all the weapons back in. We saw it with spotting Grievous to ready his speeder bike thing. And, we're seeing this with Luke and his ability, if that's equipped on him to resolve it as shields. It's just like all this stuff I'm just so excited for because it adds such a different dynamic and changes like all these decks. Because like even Hero Blue before, it was just like, all right, Hero Blue shields, and that's really it. But now you could run Hero Blue, you could do like a Luke flavor, you could go like all these different routes. And to me, I think that just makes the game so much better.
Yeah, I know we're running short time here. I just want to talk real quick about some speculation because speculation to me is like the most fun. It's fun and everything, but when they're saying this much like beefy information inside this text, I think it has to get broken down. So like I'll ask you a question. I guess I'll answer the question first and then you can answer it. So first thing, like what character would you revisit? I want another Quinlan Vos, honestly, because they gave him just the dark side version, which is from that Asajj Ventress book. But I mean, I want a light side Quinlan. I think that'd be really cool to come back. I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't think that's the first one on their list, but I think that would be cool. Do you have any like one that you particularly want?
Man, that is. See, you wrote these down and answered these. These are on the spot for me.
This is on the spot. This is fire questions. Snap, snap, snap.
A spoiler for Rebels, I guess. Almost, if you're planning on watching it, you can hit the skip 15 seconds. A blind Kanan would be awesome.
That would be sick.
And totally really like having him focus on force ability type things, and then like building building a deck with him and Luke and passing force abilities. And I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of potential there. And that would, oh man, I'm still hype on Rebels. So that might be the reason for my response, but
that's a cool one though. And we're going to keep pounding back with some questions real quick. I got a few more. So what unique equipment would you want to see coming up? I think I know what your answer could be. I'm gonna go with the freaking like the Ninth Brothers like helicopter lightsaber because that thing was absurd. So that's what I'm gonna go with.
I mean, that's basically the Grand Inquisitor. They all had the same lightsaber.
Yeah, they all had like that. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of out, but I feel like the lightsaber, the helicopter effect, has not been actually put into the game.
That was probably the dumbest thing in Rebels, and I love that show. But
that probably was, and that's why I want to see that.
For anybody curious and that wants to know, because we have like, of course, some people are playing this game because they love Star Wars but don't really want to watch Rebels. Basically, go look at the Grand Inquisitor's lightsaber. As you see it, you hold that center part, and there's a circle around it, and the lightsabers go on either end, similar to Maul's. But as a tactic in the beginning of the show, that end circle part could almost spin, so it creates like this circle vortex thing, and it's good for attack or like all these things. But in one of the episodes, they're in like this Sith temple, and they use it to fly. Like they hold it above their heads, and they're just flying everywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so
physical
weird.
Sense. But it was like that Ninth Brother dude was like his go-to. He flew like 12 times during that episode. I was like, how are you flying using
It'd be cool to see him in the game.
Yeah, he'd be great.
Like as a character.
He'd be great.
I guess for me, and I even said this over the Jedi Trials did something similar, but theirs was specific to Rebels, but this still probably stands to me about unique equipment. Man, and I want to go back to the other question now and say, like, I want a new Ezra. I want a blue, 17-point heavy hitter, like Jedi Ezra, rather than like the thief, mischief type we have now. And that kind of goes to answer this question is 2 unique upgrades I would like to see would be Ezra's. Actually, all right, we're going to 3. I'm sorry, I'm breaking the rules, Shane. I don't care. I started this podcast. I do.
That's fair. That's fair.
I want Ezra's lightsaber, the first one that he had, that was like a half gun, half lightsaber. Yep. I want his second lightsaber, and I want Kanan's lightsaber.
Wow, I thought you were going to go Darksaber, but I like all those answers. They're all good.
The Darksaber, yeah. Oh, that's really cool. But I almost feel like in my head that's already in the game because of the mat, so maybe I overlooked it, but...
No, you're right. The little gun lightsaber, that'd be pretty sweet. That'd be a cool, and you could even make that like yellow if you wanted to, because he's barely a force user at that point. So that'd be pretty cool.
All right, next question.
Next question. So they teased the most expensive support yet. What do you think it's going to be? My guess is and I don't know. I think they said they might not go full on ATST. So I don't know if they're going to go with that. But if I had to guess, I think they're going to try to bring some more first order stuff in. So I would guess it would be like the first order variant of the ATST, with those 6 shin pads at the bottom so they can't get toe cabled anymore. I don't know if they're going to go that big. My other guess would maybe be a creature, like a Rancor or something big like that.
They could even do like the cannon, the first order cannon that they use to bust open the door.
Yeah, that'd be awesome too.
Yeah, I dig that idea. For me, and for the AT-AT, bigger than that. They did say that when Jeremy was a thing, and it seems like there's kind of bigger supports than that now. Like I would say, like the Republic cruiser is probably bigger than a ATST.
Yeah, like the Falcon's going to do more.
Well, it's bigger than an ATST. They said they weren't going to go much bigger than an ATST, and probably not as big as an AT-AT. So that kind of rules out like Death Star and stuff.
Yep.
But it'll be interesting to see where Jeremy goes with that. As Lucas was the one that said that. For me, they're going to bring out the wooden logs that the Ewoks used, and those are going to be 7 cost supports. And yeah. They're going to be great.
Wow, that's gonna be huge. It's gonna be monstrous. We'll go to the next question on that, I guess.
I don't know. This wouldn't make sense, but I hope they have like an X-Wing in the game. And this obviously wouldn't be the most expensive because it wouldn't make sense for an X-Wing really to cost like much more than a
Right.
Y-Wing or more than a speeder tank or
Yeah.
anything like that. But I would just like to see an X-Wing in the game that isn't the black one, simply because the black one's not super competitive.
Yeah, I respect that. That's a good answer. That's quality. I do think X-wings are so iconic, and there's really only the black one. So you're right. That should come out. Maybe it could be like an X-wing squadron or something. Multiple dice or multiple X-wings contributing to one dice, kind of like the that 5-cost card from the 2-player set. That's like a whole squadron or like ground battalion, something like that. Brings us to the second to last question. So how can you bring back a character from the dead? And this you don't really have to answer if you don't want. If you have any ideas, you can. I don't know. I mean, I would say like the Seventh Sister, like not the Seventh Sister, the Night Sisters doing like some ritual stuff, bringing people back. But I just don't know where you can balance that. What can you bring back? I have no idea.
So you think Luke is good already, right?
You think?
Imagine they come out with a new card which says defeat Luke Skywalker to like revive one of your characters. Not that he ever did that, but it just plays into the sense of like his self-sacrifice type thing.
It does.
Oh, that would be crazy. And like you still like get to move the weapons over. That would be kind of broken, but it was like, I don't know. That just kind of seems flavorful to me, even though Luke didn't really like exactly do that. He gave up his life in that sense, but I don't know.
That'd be cool. The last one, and this I actually put a lot of thought into, so I got some ideas for it. So it says a battlefield unique with its own die, and you had a funny statement when they first announced this. I think you said something along the lines like, how frustrated we're gonna be when we keep pulling this in packs. Oh my gosh,
dude, it's gonna be the BB-8. I swear, I'm gonna pull like 5 of these, and you only need one, right? I mean, Battlefield was like bonkers good, where I put it in every deck. Even then, I only really need 2 or 3. And it was funny, even on like Discord. I don't remember who said it. It might have honestly been sarcastic. He's like, no, I'd rather pull like a few of those than a Rebellion Leader.
Yeah,
which I get, because then Rebellion Leader's taking up a legendary spot. But like, oh my gosh, I'd rather take one bad legendary, but I swear I'm going to pull this thing like 7-8 times, and I'm going to be so upset.
And like thinking like theoretically, like what it could even be, and like how it's actually going to like work mechanic wise. I think it's going to have to be like a power action or something, right? It can't be like a when you claim roll this die into the pool and like instantly resolve it or something. Because I mean, it could if the die is weak, but people are going to try to abuse that with outposts and with other claim abilities, stuff like that, new orders. So I'm thinking it's going to be like, while you have this battlefield, you can use this power action, roll this die in. And my guess is that it's like a creature along those lines. So either there's 2 guesses. First is that it's a creature like the battlefield, the location is the Wampa Cave, and you get to roll in a Wampa die. That's dope to me. Or it could be like a stationary thing, kind of like the giant boob nipple gun from Family Guys, the giant ion cannon from Hoth. Like while you have that, you can roll in the boob nipple gun and power action and get some damage out of it. So I think it's got to be some stationary location type thing.
Yeah, I actually like that a lot, and I think that's like that specific one you gave of like the Wampa Cave. That sounds really cool. I dig that. I don't really have anything. The thing that pops into my mind would be like the Geonosis Arena, but they already used that for Battlefield.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
You could say the same thing with like creatures. You roll in, you could roll in one of those creatures or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Either way,
that could be flavorful too. If it's the arena, you could pick like of the 3 different
that'd be sick.
Creatures in that, and like all of them have different stuff. Like the bull might be like a big melee thing, whatever it might be. That could be flavor there, but who knows?
You could even have like a die, right? And this is just me daydreaming. I know we should probably stop talking at this point, but like a die that has, there's 3 creatures in that arena, right? So 2 sides of the die relate to one creature, and then 2 sides relate to the other.
Yeah.
So, a die that has each thing. That'd be pretty crazy. But yeah, in general, that little snippet of spoilery kind of teasing talk was awesome, and it was fun asking these questions. Thank you for that. And I love daydreaming about type of things like that. So
yeah,
keep it up, FFG. Fun stuff.
All right, so that just about wraps it up for our spoiler talk. And glad that we happened to stumble upon it right now, because we had no idea. We were just going to talk about the quarterly kits, change the seasonal kits. That was our big FFG news. But yeah, so lastly, I want to mention I did it a few weeks ago, and I want to put more emphasis on it, that we're trying to like redo our Patreon and kind of get it so you guys have a little bit more to work with. We don't want you guys just paying money and getting nothing out of it type thing. This will be something, a great way for you guys to get stuff back while also supporting us at the same time, with just hosting fees and kind of letting us do just more stuff. I've been talking with Shane a lot about doing different things. And one of the big things that we're doing right now is mats. So at one of our tiers, at the $25 one, you'll get a Golden Dice mat. I got one coming in this week. So you will be able to see pictures before you commit to that. That'll be something that you guys can check out. And also we got like stickers. So even if you're at like the lowest tier, you'll get like some cool stickers from us. And we're really working on doing some alt arts. That's at the top of my list. We are Golden Dice. That comes from Han Solo. And I'd love to make a Han Solo alt art. So we're working on that stuff. We'll see where it goes. Shane's our official merch guy at this point.
Yeah, actually, Tommy's quite the artist. He doesn't talk about that much, but he's going to maybe do a little sketch to see if we can do it something like that or find some artwork we like, try to get a Golden Dice alt art with Han in there. Yeah, check it out. We want to, honestly, we just want to make some swag for ourselves, to have it, as well as you guys take some. I'm currently wearing a Golden Dice t-shirt as I'm recording this, so it's cool. If you guys want some stuff, check it out. And also, just if you guys want to, ever reach out to us, talk to us, ask questions, let us know. I'm just recently getting on TTS, so you guys can find me on there. Also to play anytime. You just hit us up, and we're open to trying to talk and work with you guys for whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, definitely. And like we said, for the Patreon stuff, that's not like us trying to make a business off of it or anything like that. It's more of just like, we want to expand on this and what we do. And the best way to do that is, everybody coming together and making that opportunity to happen. So Shane, do you have any merch guy? Do you have any closing thoughts?
I'm just glad to be doing this, glad to be talking about it, and hopefully continue and not get fired as merch guy. But I probably will get fired, so don't expect me around long.
Cool. So that'll just about do us. Again, if you're looking for places for more content, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we have our Patreon page, and of course, all those links and whatnot will be in our description for the episode. And I always forget this because I'm really bad at memory. I write it down, and I should probably start doing it at the beginning of the episode. But if you're looking to buy singles, you can go to topdecktcg.com, and when you check out, you can enter the promo code Golden Dice 10, and there's some great singles on there, some things I've gotten cheap. I've gotten Easy Pickings at one point was like $1, so I bought like 4 of them, and they got free shipping over $99. So it's a great place if you guys are still looking for singles to grab. You can head on over there and use Golden Dice 10 as a promo code to kind of round out your collection and take 10% off. So with that, I will catch you guys next week. Stay golden, Pony Boy.